And here's the latest on the SWAT standoff in La Jolla. It started about 10 o'clock this morning in the 7400 block of La Jolla Boulevard. Authorities tell us 2 gunmen tried to rob the symbolic motor car company. At least 7 people were held hostage at one point. A man and his 2 young daughters were holed up inside the building for several hours during the standoff. All of the hostages are now safely out of the building, and police are still searching for the suspects.
And there is still much more to come on News 8 at 5. Mothers Against Drunk Driving gather to celebrate and send a message.
And a local an effort because this big commotion drew lots of folks who wanted to see as much as they could.
You can't see much from the alley, so as I say, stay away from the police and stay out of their way. They got a job to do.
Most spectators seemed nonchalant. Hey, it's Saturday. It's a day to relax. But for businesses around the area, it was a lot more tense and nerve-wracking.
It's very frightening, and to have my daughter trying to work and be in a situation like this is very upsetting. So we're just trying to close down the flower stand, get out.
She called me saying, I have to close down, there's a hostage situation, help me, I don't know what to do, and it's crazy, this shouldn't be happening.
Other folks were forced to stay inside businesses to avoid getting hurt. Throughout the whole thing, there was a sense of urgency.
The team has authority to go ahead and start conducting the clearing operation to rescue the adults and children inside. React later, you have control.
Finally, the SWAT was over and folks breathed a sigh of relief. Life and weddings could now go on as scheduled.
Well, the bride was having a facial. It didn't bother her, but the groom was just over here, and he's kind of worried, upset, and I don't blame him.
And last we heard, that wedding was to go on as scheduled. As you can see, everything looks to be pretty much back to normal. But I'm sure a lot of folks are going to have a lot of stories to tell. Reporting live from La Jolla, I'm Kathy Chin. Back to you.
Certainly the important thing, Kathy, is no one was hurt. But for those businesses that had to shut down, I'm sure this would have been a busy morning for them with the weather.
Oh, yes, definitely, because it is, as you said, a very nice day. But those 2 people at the flower shop, they were very, very frightened, and I'm sure they weren't the only ones.
Yeah, I can imagine. Thank you, Kathy.
Sure.
Morning, 2 armed robbers showed up at the symbolic classic car dealership and began putting employees in a back office and began tying them up. Now, police now believe that the suspects got out shortly after they began tying everybody up, and one of the employees escaped. But the victims inside did not know that. They were holed up inside here for several hours today. We hear from them now on their terrifying experience.
We got to the back, I saw the people were tied up in the room, and he was still 20 or 30 feet away from me, so I just stepped around the corner of a wall. Good, how are you? And then when he came around to look for me, I just got out through the front door.
Well, the first thing was to try and keep these 2 guys as calm as possible. One of them was, I don't know if he was high on something or not, but he was a wacko. The other guy could have been in here buying a Rolls Royce. He was pretty cool, calm, and collected, but he played bad guy, good guy. He'd ask if you're okay, then he'd kick you in the back.
They told us what to do and what not to do, and eventually we were able to get out of, well, I was able to unlock the gate, which is in an office adjacent to ours, and eventually we all came out.
The whole time we assumed that they're still in the building, so we just laid there. When we heard them telling the gunmen to get out, we basically broke myself out of the duct tape and went and locked ourselves into one of the offices and then called 911. Kind of walked them through where we were and what was going on, and that was probably the most nerve-wracking 45 minutes I've had, you know, waiting for them to come upstairs, not knowing if
The good news in all of this is that all of the victims inside did get out safely. Nobody was hurt. The bad news is the suspects did get away. Police are still looking for 2 African-American men in their 20s. Both of them were nicely dressed. One of them is about 6 feet 2 inches tall, weighing about 200 pounds. The other one is about 5 feet 10 inches tall. Both of them were wearing white shirts. Anybody who thinks they may know who they are is asked to call the San Diego Police Department. Reporting live in La Jolla, I'm Catherine Blake. Back to you in the studio.
What a terrifying situation for those people, Catherine.
It is terrifying, and you know, inside, that father, especially with his 2 young daughters, being holed up on the 2nd floor, not knowing what was going on, hearing noises downstairs, but not knowing if the suspects were inside. They were the last ones to come out, but thank goodness all of them did get out safely.
All right, certainly. Catherine Blake reporting live. Thank you.